Hi guys, good morning. I hope you guys can hear me. Right, so hello, good morning everyone. Thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. My name is Rachel and I'm the lead for WTM George Town today. And joining us, we have Luis and Edward as well. You guys can say hi.
Hello,
So let
morning.
me just pass it to Luis to introduce to us what is GDG Georgetown.
Hello. Hi. Thank you, Rachel. Good morning. My name is Luis, and let me introduce about what is the GDG Georgetown. So, who we are, GDG Minis is a Google developer group. GDG Georgetown is started since by 2030, and we are a not-profit community, but GDG Georgetown is a platform offered by the Google. So, every year we organize the events like the talks, workshop, code labs, hackathon, the fest, and like the I/O extended for the developer discuss and share their experience when developing the application using the Google technology. So, yeah. Okay.
Right,
So,
thank you very much, Luis.
yeah.
Okay, so guys, if you guys want to keep up with us on what we do and whatever events that's coming up next, you can just follow us on our LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, as well as our GDG community event page. Yeah, I'll stop here, leave it for a while, let you guys scan the QR code if you guys want to. Yeah. Okay, I think that's enough time. Okay, so without wasting anybody's time, let me just introduce to you our schedule for today. First off, we have Henry Lim, who is a Google developer expert in web. So he will be sharing with us today his experience building a Malaysian vaccine tracker Twitter bot. And second, our second speaker, who is Yong Shen, who is no stranger to the Flutter community in Malaysia. She will be telling us things you might not know in Flutter. Our third speaker, Wong Yang Choi, who's also known as Toru, who's an OCBC mobile developer, he'll be sharing with us Jetpack with new features in 2021. Our last speaker, Shang-Yi Lim, who is also a Google developer expert in Firebase, he'll be teaching us how to increase mobile development productivity with Firebase app distribution. Right, so I'll pass it on to my co-host, Edward, to introduce our first speaker for today.
Hi everyone. Before I start, I introduce myself first. I'm Edward Cheng. I'm also a web developer myself. So let me start by Henry Lim. He is our Google developer expert in web technologies. So he about to share building a Malaysian vaccine tracker Twitter bot. So let's get started.
Yes, hi everyone. Good morning. So I'm Henry. I'm a Google developer expert in web technology. So I'm a front-end developer. I write JavaScript. I'm also a creator of Remove for Slides. And today in the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'm going to talk about how I built a Twitter bot called Malaysia Vaccine Tracker. So in the last few days, or actually since like February or March 2020, we are in basically like deep shit. In the pandemic, everything is not great. People are dying. People got the COVID virus. It's not good, but as we all know, like the only way to solve this thing is to give our vaccine as fast as possible. So this is basically our only solution, to give the vaccine to everyone. Not me. The government should do it. And the good thing is they are doing it. And got this message few days ago from the government to say like, oh, we have given out like 300,000 doses. Then that's the problem. First, Tanya, Malaysia. A lot of my friends haven't got the vaccine yet. So Tanya, for what? So yeah, it's a bit like, where is my vaccine? if you're on social media, if you're on Twitter, on Facebook, you see like ton of tweet to the JKGIV and or to Kyrie, to basically everyone, like all the politicians, like asking like, where's my vaccine? So when it sounds a lot, like 300,000, it sounds a lot, yes. But the problem is Malaysia have 32 million people, and each of those people need to get 2 doses. So like the government need to give out like 60 million. So like 300,000 divided by 60 million, I don't know how many percent. And that's the problem I want to solve. So saya belum divaksin, but that's for a lot of case for my friend and family in Malaysia. For me, fortunately, I'm in Bangkok. So I'm somehow managed to get the vaccine. So it's a show off. I got the AstraZeneca vaccine, and if possible, you can get it, please get it. If you're anti-vaxxer, then sorry, you should still get the vaccine. This is the only way for us to solve basically to get out from this pandemic. So statistic, I'm a developer. I'm not those data scientists. I'm not good in data, but this is what the government publish every day on social media. They publish the infographic, this kind of image on their Facebook and Twitter. So this was back in April this year. So the vaccination program just started in maybe like 1 or 2 months. So they're giving out and they're publishing this kind of data every single day, which is a good thing. But if you look at the image carefully, then you realize something is missing. They're only showing the first dose total, second dose total, and for whole country and for each state. To be honest, this image is not very helpful. There are some information missing here, like what's the vaccination rate? They given out how many doses today or yesterday, and what's the percentage? For 714,000 sounds a lot, but how many percent of the population has vaccinated? Those information, you need to do the math yourself. Although it's a simple math, but you still need to do yourself. And to be honest, not a lot of people know what is the current population in Malaysia. 32 million. It's like 32 point something million. So you need to do the math yourself, and no one is going to do it. So that's the time on April. I saw this tweet on my Twitter by the US Vaccine Count. So it's a very simple progress bar, very, very similar to the year progress Twitter bot. So what they do is they tweet out the progress bar and the percentage. And in this case, the user vaccine count actually tweeted out the percentage of the people fully vaccinated people in United States. So in this case, in April was 16.4%. Those are people who got 2 doses. So what I do is like, how many percentage in Malaysia? I don't know. What I do is I go to Google search, I go to Twitter search, Malaysia vaccine tracker, no result. So that's the moment I was like, you know what? I should build it myself. So, and this is what my goal. And I want to do something like this. I want to show the information, basically fill the gap that the government, if the government is not showing the data, I will show the data. In this case, what I will do is I will show the percentage by population for first dose and second dose, the first and second dose cumulative, and the vaccination rate. And for extra, I will show the total doses to make sure the Kyrie actually meet his promise. In this case, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 per day. Okay, it's raining now. Anyway, so to get a statistic is kind of easy and difficult at the same time. So first, where you can get information, one is from social media, and another place is to get from the famous, very expensive website, the vaccinecovid.gov.my. Is it a good website? It's a beautiful website, and I love this website. Has multiple languages, but the back end is different story. And the bad thing is, it's heavily raining right now, so I hope you can hear my audio clearly. Anyway, so on this website, what they show is they show the percentage, and the good thing is, on this website they're using this API, so you can go to this URL, the /heatmap.json, actually show the information like the state name, the first dose and second dose, plus the population for each state. So the data is actually useful, except there's one big problem. If you look at social media and the vaccine website, usually they update the social media around like 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m. in the morning. But the problem is that we only update the website on like 12, like afternoon or evening. So there's a gap between it. The website update very, very slow. So if I want to tweet it out, I want to get the information as fast as possible. So by taking the information from the website is not going to work because it's too slow for me. So what I can do is I get the information from social media. Good thing is Facebook doesn't provide any useful API, so ignore Facebook. So the only way I can get information is through Twitter, because Twitter has a very, very good API. I can do basically almost everything using the Twitter API. In this case, since the government posting the information on Twitter every single day, in this case at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. in Malaysia, or 10 a.m. in Malaysia, around it's that morning. So what I can do is I can build a bot, run a script every single day, or I can write it in this, for my case, is every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes, my bot will call the Twitter API and search the tweet. In this case, if you make sure the tweet comes from JKJVNY, and it's basically the latest information I want. So I can just using the code on the screen. If you're not a developer, then you just ignore this. But basically what I'm doing is use Twitter API to get to search the tweet. And by using that, I was able to get the image URL for that. And that's the problem. So just now on the website, they're using the hitman.json. It's a JSON file. I have the number already. But since I'm on Twitter, I get information from an image. There's one thing I need to do. Oh no, my formatting. I need to get the information. I need to do OCR. So I need to process the image and convert to text. How can I do that? So because I'm a web developer, so I'm running everything on Node.js. So what I do is Node.js OCR library. I was like, maybe this search is not great. So I added Node.js OCR library free. So the first result came out is the Terrasite OCR library. So fun fact, I thought this is an open source thing. So it's built by independent developer. Ended up this thing is developed by Google. Seriously, Google, why you need to develop everything? But yes, this thing is developed by Google. This thing is amazing. There's 40,000 likes, 40,000 stars on GitHub, and the accuracy the library return is very, very accurate. It is exactly what I want. Except there's one big problem. For some reason, it's running super slow on Cloud Function on Node.js. It took like 10 seconds plus to initialize the library and 1 second to do the actual OCR. So the process is like 10 to 15 seconds. I don't really like it. I want something faster. So maybe that's the thing I was thinking, maybe cloud is the better solution. So Google search again, and I found there's something called Google Cloud Vision API. So then I realized, hey, this thing is not a free services. It costs money. So in this case, you can see the price on the screen. For me, what I'm using is the text detection. But there's one good news. It says the first 100 units is free for every single month. And for my case, I need to do the OCR every single day. So basically, worst case scenario, I only need to run this thing. I only need 31 units per month. So I still have like 900 plus units left at the end of the month. So for me, Cloud Vision API is completely free because it didn't meet the quota that they say. So to use the Google Cloud Vision API is surprisingly simple, and the performance is very, very good. So what I need to do is, since I'm on Node.js, import the Node.js library. Basically, what they need is the image in base64 format. So I just fetch the image, the image URL I got from the Twitter API, convert to buffer, convert to base64, blah, 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 blah. Then what I need to do next is I need to run the vision.text detection. So by doing this, I'm feeding the base64 image. And to make the OCR result more accurate, I set the language hints to English and Malay. So in this case, it won't return weird languages like Korean or some other weird language. It happened. So after I set the language hints to English and Malay, the Cloud Vision API return is very accurate, and it's something what I want. And the good thing about this API, it returns basically two things that I need. One is the text, of course, and another thing is the verticals, which is basically the coordinate. Where's the text on the image? It returns the XY position. So I can use that to basically visualize it for myself, so I know my code is working. So it shows, and on the right hand side of the screen, you can see it's showing the number. It's working perfectly. So, and just in case, because I don't really trust computer, although I wrote the code, I do some validation. So in this case, on the infographic, there are actually some of the information are duplicate. So if you do the math yourself, like the first dose for each state, the total should equal to first dose total, and same goes to second dose total. So, and if you plus first dose total plus second dose total, it should equal to the big total. It should be equal to the total dose 1 and dose 2 administered. So those numbers should match. If the number doesn't match, which means OCR is not working correctly. So for my code, I will make sure all the numbers are matching correctly. If not, it won't continue to the next step. So this is for me, it looks like. I just visualize this for myself. Everything is working. And to make my result more accurate and get rid of those unwanted text, I only filter out. You can see the red box. So those are the things I filter out. So basically the OCR, if we all ignore all the text like total, cumulative, the police kedap, pull up, if we ignore everything, it will focus on the number. So those are the filter done on my side, not Google Cloud Vision API side. So after I get all the raw result, I just filter it out myself. Except there's one big problem. Government love to change the format of the infographic, so it breaks my code sometimes. So I need to change the coordinate for the red boxes from time to time. But which is not the case for now. I will tell you later why. So yeah, this is what I need to do. So every time they change the format, it will break my code. But luckily, my code is quite dynamic. I can just update the coordinate for the boundary from the Firebase real-time database. So yes, Firebase real-time database. Then so search a tweet, do OCR, get a number. So I need to store the data. So in this case, I just use my real-time database, store the data there, store everything in the Malaysia and for each state for the first and second dose. And from there, I can run the script every 5 minutes. So I'm using Cloud Scheduler. And that's a problem. My goal as a cheapskate, I learned from someone, a cheapskate. My goal is I want to spend 0 ringgit on this project. So Cloud Scheduler is free, but not free. It only free 3 jobs per month. And for the 4th job, if your job has more than 3, then it costs 10 cents per job per month. As a cheapskate, I don't want to spend anything. I want to spend 0 ringgit. Except government want to pay me, then I will do it. So I was like, okay, Cloud Scheduler is too expensive for me. 10 cents is very expensive. So I was like, I don't want to give you money. What can I do? Again, Google search cron job free. The first result come out is from cron-job.org, and it says it's absolutely free. I give it a try, and the good news is, hey, it works perfectly, and it's completely free. And what I do is I run it every 5 minutes, and to make things more efficient. And I know they only tweeted out the infographic during daytime, so I exclude those at midnight time. So during midnight it won't run, but if you start to run from 7 a.m. every single day. So yeah, that's the cron job. So far I spent 0 ringgit on real-time database, 0 ringgit on cron job, 0 ringgit on like the OCR, 0 ringgit on what? On everything. The only thing I spent so far is my own time. I gave 0 ringgit to Google so far. Okay, so I have all the information. I have the first dose for each state in my database. What can I do next? So send a tweet. What I need to do is send a tweet to where? send a tweet to Twitter. So in this case, I'm using a library called Twitter Lite because I'm lazy to do authentication. Yeah, authentication is very hard to do. I don't know how to do. So I use the library called Twitter Lite. I just go to Twitter Developer Console and create a new application. And it will give me the consumer key, consumer secret, access token key, and access token secret. So key in those things, and I will do some simple math. Calculate the progress bar, calculate the percentage, compare with yesterday, and calculate the vaccination rate today and yesterday. Then I just post it, just Twitter client.post status/update, and basically that is it. And here's the result, and it looks like exactly like this, and it will post it every single day. Yeah, so that is it, right? No. So I want to do more stuff. So notification, what is notification? So the thing is, I don't know when the government will share out the information. So I need a way to notify myself like, hey, Henry, check the Twitter. Is everything working perfectly or not? Because I don't know. So since I'm using iPhone, Safari doesn't support push notification. I cannot send a push notification to myself. So any other way to notify myself? Telegram. So I realized Telegram has a very, very good API that the Telegram bot is surprisingly easy to use. It took me like 5 minutes to get something show up on my Telegram. And actually, this is my first time using Telegram. So it's how great Telegram is. What you need to do is you go to Telegram, you follow the documentation, you're able to get your chat ID, get the token, and just call api.telegram.org/token/send message and create a form data, put in the data, done. So what I do is every time you run the cloud functions, so if you do two things, if you try to do two things, first, if success case, if you're able to send out the tweet, if you send a message, tell me the date, okay or not. If not, if something, because I'm using try and catch, if something catch, it will send a message to my Telegram with the error message. So basically, it's like I use my Twitter, my Telegram as like those bug reporting app. But in this case, I'm using Telegram, I get notification immediately. Unlike email, you may miss the notification. Chat message, I won't miss it. And the only person that my only friend in Telegram is this bot, nothing else. So it's super easy for me to keep track of everything. Is my code working? Is my code not working? So I can know it directly from Telegram. Super good. So that's it. So I use Twitter API, do OCR, save the data on real-time database, tweet out, and also send a notification to my Telegram. Anything else I should do? Yes, there are a lot of stuff I can do. Then this thing is on Twitter. I have no idea why I have no idea how people found this, and people ask me like, hey Henry, can you add like the vaccination rate for each state? I was like, yes, because I have the data, I just put it. So in this case, I will not only post the progress bar, I will also show the vaccination rate for each state for every single day, together with in two different tweets, because Twitter has a 280 character limit, so I need to split it up. So in this case, I cheat a lot because Kuala Lumpur is too long, so I changed to KL. And Pulau Pinang is too long, so I changed to Penang, shorter. So yeah, I need to do some trick to make sure it always, the text character is always under 280. So yeah, what else I can do? Progress bar. Oh no, not progress bar, progress ring. So I have the progress bar on the tweet. What else I can do? And I got the idea from someone, and I was like, hey, actually I can copy the design from Apple Watch, and yeah, basically putting the progress ring on profile picture, and it will update every single day together with the tweet. So how I did it is to basically generate this image, because this image is dynamic, right? I'm not going to open Photoshop and edit this thing myself. So I'm going to let my code to do this for me. So in this case, you can see a long code here, which I don't think you want to read. But basically what it does is basically a 6 steps process. First, load the image. image, the needle thing. Second, do some math to calculate the radius, calculate the circumference, that kind of stuff. It took me like 20 minutes to do it. 20 minutes plus 1 hour because I lost my calculator. I don't know where I have no idea where I put my calculator, but yeah, basically I spent 20 minutes doing some maths, like, because in this case I'm using Canvas, but Canvas is the HTML thing. So in order to run Canvas on Node.js, you need to import a library called Canvas. So in this case, I just do the maths myself. Is maths. I'm not going to explain it. If you want, you can. I will share the slide. So I will share the slide later, so you can try to understand yourself without any documentation. But yeah, basically what I do is draw the background, then do the maths for the radius for the ring. I make sure the line is rounded ended. That thing is super tricky to do. Then draw the outer ring, draw the first dose ring, which is the light green color, and the second dose dark green color. Then after that, convert the whole thing to base64 using to data URL and call the Twitter API account/update profile picture. And by doing that, it will automatically update the profile picture on your Twitter account. So far, so good, and it's quite easy. And what else I can do? More feature, Henry, more feature. You have times. You got nothing to do at home. What else can you do? So we have tweet, we have profile picture. How about header photo? Right. So what better thing to do to show on the header photo is showing the vaccination rate chart. So in this case, I'm showing the first dose, second dose, and a 14-day average. So again, this thing will change automatically every single day. So I don't need to do anything. Yes, I'm lazy. Yeah, because I want to spend 1 minute doing this thing, I spend like 2 hours writing the code. Great. So to generate this chart on the header folder, what I do is I use a library called chart.js. But as usual, chart.js is a library for front end, not for back end. So, but luckily someone built it and it works on Node.js too. So the library is called chart.js Node Canvas, exactly like the front end, and you can convert it to base64 as required as the Twitter API. So by using this, I was able to basically generate the chart, look like this. Then, oh no, you cannot put GIF on Twitter. This one is for presentation only. If you go to Twitter, you only see a static image. Okay, this one looks nice, right? Something's moving, but yeah, unfortunately, Twitter doesn't support GIF for profile picture and header photo. So yeah, then I can convert it to base64 and I call the API again, and it will automatically update the header photo. So yeah, so I have a Twitter bot, but the problem is actually I have more data and I have more way to visualize it, and that is the problem. What should I do? Should I build a website? I'm a web developer, so the first thing I should do is like, hey, I should build a website to show this thing. Then I was like, wait, government didn't pay me, and they literally spend millions of ringgit on a website. So if I want to do something for the government should pay me, but the government don't want to pay me, then I should not build a website. And if I build a website, then I need to pay the hosting. I need to make sure the AstraZeneca registration incident doesn't happen again. And yeah, so what should I do? How to show the data without building a website? Then I suddenly remember this article. So the England was using Excel to store the COVID-19 result, and something terrible happened. So I was like, hey, actually, I can just use Excel. But Excel is not free, and I'm cheapskate. I'm not going to buy Excel license. Google Sheet is completely free of charge, and it's available on the web, so everyone can use it on everywhere, on their fridge, on their phone, on their Tesla. So you can go to this link, bit.ly/Malaysia-vaccination. It's a spreadsheet. It shows a lot of information. It shows the vaccination rate, chat, progress for each state and the whole country, the difference between today and yesterday, average 7 days, 14, 30 days, and charts. I love charts. And the one thing I love during this is this is what called chart. So there are a lot of information here. So if I show everything on a screen, people may not want to know. So people want to filter it, right? So actually there are, I think, like 3 methods to filter on Google Sheet, and same goes to Excel. You can like create a filter, but the problem of filter is if I set the filter on my side, other people will also see the result that I filter. So it's not great. So I want to do something like, if I change, other people won't change. If other people change, I won't see the changes. So luckily there's something called slicer. So which is basically the green, blue, dark blue, purple-ish bar you see on the screen. The thing is called what? The thing is called slicer. Google search it. Again, also available on Excel. This thing is amazing. It allows you to do filter just like any normal website you build or CMS you build. But this thing is on a freaking Google Sheet. I'm basically building a dashboard on Google Sheet with filter. I guess I lost my job already. So you just learn Google Sheet and you don't need to learn JavaScript anymore. Oh my God. So what this thing do is basically I can filter it by state. So in this case, which the GIF you see, okay, I'm showing a few charts like the progress for first dose, second dose, vaccination rate, and the total cumulative. And the best thing is you can filter it by state, and yeah. So to sync the data between my real-time database and Google Sheet, I'm using a library called Google Spreadsheet. This thing is super easy to use. You initialize, you get a service account from your Google Cloud Console, put in your Google Sheet ID, then that's it. Then you just like add rows or delete rows. Basically, you just add. You can get the data. You can get everything. What you can do from this API. You can get the data. You can update the data. You can do everything you can imagine. So yeah. So that's one more thing. So I thought about a lot of stuff. Like I use OCR. OCR doesn't sound nice. I use machine learning to get my data. Except all this stuff happened in April. So right now it's July. And last few weeks, I suddenly got a lot of DM and mention on my Twitter. Because I use OCR, I remember I use OCR. I need to use Twitter API to get all the information. Because the vaccine COVID website is very slow. So I use OCR. Kari tweeted out this thing on his Twitter. So he say, is basically will publish all the data for the peak for the vaccination program on GitHub. And what they did is, so basically I spent like 3 months to optimize my code for OCR. And now suddenly I can just get all the data on GitHub. Then, on best thing on GitHub is, they publish this thing and this thing is amazing. They publish all the information that I need. And last time they tweeted out the information at 9 a.m., 10 a.m., right? GitHub, they publish every day on like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., super early. So good and bad for me. The bad thing is I can delete all my OCR code because I don't need that anymore. I can just get the data super fast directly from GitHub midnight. And it looks like this. So they publish vaccination data. They publish the registration data for whole country and each state. And if you have any data requests, you can open a pull request. They are very active on it, which is, for me, it's mind-blowing. I don't expect government is doing something like this. They publish all the information on GitHub in a CSV format. So what I do right now, instead of getting the data from Twitter and do OCR, I just get this CSV file, then pass the CSV and get the last row. Yeah. And the best thing is this format, and they're actually feeding this data directly back to the orbit, our world in data. So yeah, government somehow is doing a good job here. So yeah, bad for me because I waste 3 months writing my OCR code. So yeah, and you waste your 20 minutes listen to me how I do OCR. And now actually you can just use GitHub. And this one is the Malaysia whole data and for each state, for every single day since February. super useful, and basically again, more data means more transparent, and people can know what is happening right now. Of course, there's still some data missing, like we doesn't know like how many Pfizer they given out daily, how many AstraZeneca, Sinovac they given out daily. For those, please open the pull request, keep asking them, stress them, and hopefully they will publish those data soon. So, and just like I mentioned what I mentioned? Shit, I forgot already. Yes, I mentioned they like to change the format of the infographic, right? Then last few days, they changed the design again. And now it looks like this. So previously, it was showing the Malaysia map with the number. And now they just show a table. Then the only good thing is I don't need OCR anymore. I'm still running the code. I'm using it as a fallback, as a backup, just in case they didn't update GitHub. So for my case is whenever which one comes first, if they update GitHub, then I will use GitHub. If they publish on Twitter first, then I will use Twitter. The logic is still the same, except the boundary is slightly different. So yeah, kind of like my code is kind of useless. But yes, but hey, it works. I don't care. People don't care about the process, right? Only people like us, developer, care about how I build it. But for normal people love it. So for no reason, I don't really promote this a lot because on my own personal Twitter followers are mostly people come from US and Europe. I don't follow a lot of Malaysian. Because Malaysian friend I follow on Facebook. And for no reason, people found this Twitter account and they love it. Even some government official, they love it. They say like, hey, you should follow this unofficial account. Then, yeah, and people say thank you to me, like, which is nice for me, right? Because I'm spending my own time. I'm not getting any money. Thank you is, I think, the best thing I can get. Yeah, for those sending the tweet to me, thank you. Yeah, so I will make sure my code working until. Hopefully, my goal is to close this Twitter account by end of this year. But it depends on the government, right? If the government can finish the vaccination by end of this year, then good. I can not doing this thing anymore. And yeah, that's all the resources from me. I will share this slide on my Twitter, so you can follow me on Twitter. I will share my Twitter ID later. So you can go through everything, you can take screenshot if you want, because you cannot take a picture. Because this is an online event, you take a screenshot. So all the links are here, all the library, all the stuff I'm using are here. As conclusion, I spent RM0, except a lot of times I spent a lot of hours on this thing, and every single day, two things I want to know. I also want to know what is the current vaccination progress, and second, I need to know is my code working correctly or not. So first and last, yes, kudos to the government for publishing the data on GitHub. That is very, very useful. Although we love to talk bad thing about government, like government is the worst. Some case, yes, but they publish the stuff on GitHub is a good. Not a lot of country is doing this. So thank you. Stay home and stay safe. And if you haven't registered for vaccine for no reason, please register now. And for those already registered, yeah, you wait. Follow me on Twitter, HenryLim96. Follow this thing on twitter.com/myvaccinecow. And follow my side project, my twitter.com/remote4slides. And that's all for me. If you have any question, ask in the comment section. I will answer it now.
Sorry, my mic is mute. I think it's very nice for Henry to develop something to help the community. If you guys have any questions, please leave it at the comment section.
How much did the costing cost? Zero, nothing, zero. And the one thing I wish is zero is the cases. No, you cannot put GIF on Twitter. This one is fake. You can get license. No point for me, right? Because like affordable rate is still something. I still need to pay something more than zero. Google Sheet is completely free. So free versus 0.1, I choose the free. And also, I don't encourage pirated software. Without your OCR data, maybe I don't know. I'm not sure about this because maybe the government already has planned for doing this. It's just like they don't have someone to encourage to do this. But yeah, but I don't want to I don't want to take that. But yeah, maybe can be your friend on Telegram. Find me on Twitter. Don't message me on Telegram. Yeah, I'm very active on Twitter. Either on if you tag me both, because I'm using TweetDeck, so I will see notification immediately if you tag either my Western Cow or my Henry Lim 96. So if you want to find me, find me. If you have any question or find anything you want to DM me, you can just find me on Twitter. I'm quite active. Sorry, you mentioned where do you run? Oh, okay. I think I forgot to mention. I run the script, everything on Firebase. Technically, I'm running the script on Google Firebase Cloud Function. Cloud Function, in this case, I'm running Node.js. So I don't run it locally because I'm in Bangkok. I left my Raspberry Pi in Malaysia. So I wish to run this thing locally, but I don't have my Raspberry Pi, so I cannot run locally. In this case, I'm running the script, everything on Google Cloud Functions. Thanks. If you could request more data from GitHub, actually, the few things I want to know is because then the government, a few things. One is how many, like the Pfizer, AstraZeneca, how many, the exact number they have given out. And one big question a lot of people asking in GitHub is the number accurate or not, especially in KL and Selangor? Because people in Selangor actually go to KL to get the vaccine. So for the case, the +1 is on Selangor or KL. Don't know. It's very confusing, and I know it's very hard for the government to making sure the data is correct. But we should able to know in the next few days because right now the vaccination rate for KL is like 75%. So if they're calculating wrongly, if let's say people in Selangor go to KL, like PWTC, to get the vaccine, and the +1 KL, soon the vaccination progress in KL should be more than 100%. So that's one thing we want to know, but so far no response. And another thing is the allocation, because they need to get the vaccine first and allocate the vaccine, right? So one thing I hope from them is that they can publish the stock number, like we have how many vaccine in the fridge right now, and we plan to give out the vaccine this month, how many doses. Basically, more data, more happy people, right? So those are the things we hope we can see on the GitHub. Your post can consider ads. No. The answer is no. I don't want to do, and I don't want to put any ads. This one is I build it for people. I'm not doing this for the government. No, I'm doing for the Malaysian people, and yeah, doing it for the people, and I'm not going to take any profit on this thing. So, anything else? No. Oh yes, if you want to support me, yes, you can support me on the remove for slides. There's the Patreon on that. You can go to patreon.com/remove for slide. That's the best way to support me, but not through the vaccine count. Okay, any more questions? Again, if you're too shy to ask me questions online, you can find me on Twitter. You can find me on here. Let me share my. Here, you can find me on Henry96. Follow this thing and share it to your friend. I love followers. Right now, I think I got like 7,000 followers on the My Vaccine account. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Henry. Guys, please follow him on Twitter. So let me introduce our next guest speaker. Hi, Yongshun.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Hi, Yongshun is our GDE in Dart and Flutter. She is a senior software engineer focusing on mobile apps developers, mobile front-end development, and she loves sharing Flutter a lot. Hopes Flutter developer would learn something new today. Without further ado, I pass the stage to Yongshun.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Edward. And thanks everyone for joining us. And today I'm going to talk about things you might not know in Flutter. And actually, I came out with this topic because I have run out of ideas of what I could talk about in Flutter. So, and then to think of something that could fit into a half an hour session, I decided to talk about a few interesting things that I came along during my journey of developing some production apps in Flutter. So first, a little bit about myself. I'm Yongshan. I've just recently become a Google developer expert in Dart and Flutter. And I'm currently a full-time Flutter developer in Commerce Solutions. I started about 2 to 3 years ago. And so far, I'm enjoying most of the experience when developing with Flutter because of how easy it is to learn and also to build beautiful UI and to provide a good user experience to our app users. And on the side, I'm also a director of Women Who Code Kuala Lumpur, which is a non-profit organization that helps people of all genders, especially women, to excel in their technology careers. So if you have any questions on Flutter, feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. And I've also write a few articles on Medium. I'm planning to write more. So if you're interested, you can follow me on Medium. And also for all the code demos that I show, I will post it up in my GitHub as well. So you can have a look and leave some feedback. And yeah, so today's agenda, what are the things that I'm going to share today? Like first will be about the golden testing, which is also known as snapshot testing to non-Flutter users. And also I would talk about the linters in that. And finally, I will also share about the how to set up the app flavors. So first, golden testing. For people who have not heard of this term before, I'm not surprised because it's also the first time when I came along this keyword in Flutter. And coming from a web developer background, I was more familiar with the term snapshot testing. So this is basically equivalent to snapshot testing. So, and then as usual, Flutter has a very good documentation. So for more details, you can check out their the link here. And then, yeah, just before I go deep into golden testing, to give a general overview of unit testing in Flutter. And so why should we write tests? And the purpose of tests is to verify if an app works as expected, whether it is carried out or automatically or manually. And we would want to automate as many of these tests as possible so that we can accelerate our app feature or bug fixes at the same time to ensure that each code change does not break any part of the app. So even though it may slow down app development in the beginning, but for every test that you write is worth it as your app grows larger and larger. So if you are still thinking about why writing tests is wasting time, then this talk might not be for you. And generally, in any software development, you will find these 4 types of testing. So you have the static analysis, and then on top of that, you have the unit testing. And also in Flutter, there is the widget testing, which is more on the UI test. And then finally, you have the integration testing to test the overall integration, like whether your app works end to end. So and then depending on your background, they might have slightly different names. So the naming in the diagram, it shows the terms that are used by the official Flutter team. And then for the static analysis part is covered by Dart. So this one I will go into more details in the second part of the talk when I talk about the linters. And then right now I'm going to focus more about this section, which is using the Flutter test library to do our widget testing. So what about golden testing? It's a type of widget test. So as I mentioned, is equivalent to snapshot testing for those who comes from especially JavaScript development. You might be already familiar with this. And it is a special type of matcher that compares your widget with an image file. So it's called golden testing because you're comparing your current snapshot or your current image with a golden image, which is the source of truth. And you will write your widget test that checks, okay, does it still look the same as your golden file? So, and then these golden files are the image files that are created from a manually verified widget. So in the beginning, you are expected to create the true image first, so that you tell Flutter, okay, this is the image that is verified, that I manually verified that it is correct. So for any subsequent test, then you can ask Flutter to check, okay, is the output still producing the image that looks the same as your golden file? So that's the concept of golden testing. And when should we use this? So there are two major scenarios that you want to consider to use golden testing. Like first is when you want to compare the look of the widget. So for example, you have created a button, and then this button is something that you have created manually. You have a lot of fancy decoration on that button. And then you want to make sure that, okay, on my subsequent code changes, I don't want the button outlook to change. I want it to stay the same. I don't want to accidentally modify the UI unless I explicitly tell Flutter that, okay, I have updated the UI of the button, so please update the golden file of this widget. And then for the second scenario is, let's say you have a Canvas app. So for your information in Flutter, you also have Canvas, and you can draw anything on the canvas. So then it is very difficult to check whether your Canvas app is still working as expected as you change your code. So golden testing is very suitable to test the Canvas output. So I will show you in a bit. I think I will go to the code first. Let me put in my VS Code. Yeah, so here you can see like I have a very basic app, and let me close this on the emulator. It's always a bit slow. So I think I will show with my iOS simulator instead. So when I run this code, then I will, let's go to this one. Then I will see this this page, and then if you go into my canvas painting widget, you can see that, okay, here I have a scaffold, and then it has body of gesture detector. So this is where I detect the user input whenever here I have defined the on-pen update. So whenever user is panning around, like this, then it should do something. And then what does it do is it runs this code that adds some points. So here is actually a series of points because they are so close together, so you will see them as strokes. And then, yeah, I would not go into the detail of this. The point of this app is I want to show you the testing part. So let's say I want to write a widget test that makes sure that, okay, my app still can show drawing whenever user is dragging on this part. So if you go to my tests, so for your information, all the tests I will put inside the test folder. So here I can see that I have a canvas painting test. And then in this test file, I have one widget test that tests whether the canvas painting can render correctly. So here I have a widget that I pump. So I'm pumping the canvas painting app. And then here, so this is the part where the golden testing starts. Okay, I want to find on my app widget here the type canvas painting. So right now it will try to find this part from the app that I pump. And then I want to make sure that it matches the golden file that is in this particular file path. So here, because I have already run the code, and if you're writing this for the first time, then you can run Flutter test update goldens. So after you run this, then it will try to pump this widget. So it will render this part, and then it will take this as the truth. So after I've run this, then I will get the files here. So if you open up the file, it's actually a PNG file. So this is the initial state because I haven't asked the widget test to input anything yet. So I want to check the initial state is empty. So it is indeed empty. Then the second part is I want to be able to drag around the canvas and then after that trigger a frame. So this is where the user input comes in. It simulates the dragging action on the canvas. So while you drag, you are dragging on the canvas painting widget. And then how are you dragging? You are dragging by a certain offset that I set here. So then after this action, then I trigger a frame. And after our action, we can verify that our canvas has some drawing. So this is the after part. So I also check the after part. And then when I run this code with the update goldens, this argument, then I can check my after drag. I will have a line here after I have dragged the offset. So this is a very simple example of what a widget test can do. And then when you use the golden file, you can easily check whether it still matches our input or not. So just for an example, if I make some changes, okay, maybe before that, I can run the Flutter test first and see if the test pass. Sorry, I shouldn't run this version. I have multiple Flutter SDK installed. So on your machine, you can just run with Flutter and not Flutter latest because I have assigned this as an alias to use the latest version of Flutter on my machine. So let's run this. Okay, so it says that the test is passing because it still matches the golden file that we have already generated during the update golden stage. So let's say if we go to the canvas painting and change something. So imagine that, okay, maybe you or someone in the team made a mistake, and then you have committed this file. So this is obviously wrong. If you run this app, maybe I should launch this. Okay, while this is running, I can already run my Flutter test and see if it pass or fail. Okay, so now you can see that the test failed because it no longer match the golden file that I have already defined earlier. So, and then it's very useful that it also shows you what are the difference. You can go to the failures folder, and then you can see, okay, what is my test image. So this is the new output when the widget test is simulating the drag here. So obviously this is not what we are expecting. We are expecting it to look like this and not this. So if you go to your test file, you manually test it, then you will see that it looks different already. So, and then, but with golden testing, without you or the developers to manually go to your app and do the dragging and test every time, you can rely on your golden file, and then you can automatically check that, okay, I should not make this change because it has already caused my test to fail. So let's go back here and undo our changes. And then now it should go back to my usual behavior. And then when you run the test, it will pass again. So this is the power of golden file testing. And let me go back to the slide. Oops. Am I still with this? Okay. Yeah. And then next, I will talk about dart linters. And for the linters part, I'm going to cover to give a general overview what are linters and how to enable and configure them. Like, let's say sometimes you want to exclude certain files or folders, or you want to exclude certain rules. And finally, which are the rules that we should use and what is the recommended approach by the official Flutter team. And let's start. So first, what are linters? So linting is actually a process that automatically check your source code for programmatic and stylistic errors. And this is important to reduce errors and to improve the overall quality of your codes. And by using the linter tools can help you to accelerate the app development and also reduce the cost by finding the errors earlier. And then these lints can be surfaced by the dart analyzer, which will statically check your dart code. And the dart enabled IDEs, it can typically show you the issues that are identified by the analyzer in the UI. Or alternatively, you can also invoke the analyzer by manually running a Flutter analyze command. And then how do you enable the linters? So I will show you. We can use the analysis options.yaml file in our code base. So let me bring back the code again. And then here, I can open up the analysis options. So when you are creating the app by using Flutter Create, you might not be able to see this file yet because this file is not automatically generated. But fret not, you can always create a new file. So make sure that the file names is the same as this one. So then you put it in your project root folder. And then inside the file, you can paste this code. And this code you can actually find from the Dart guide. So everything is in here. And you can copy and paste from the page and then put it here. So this is actually what I did. I just copy and paste from there. And then I actually copy from the Flutter lints package page. So let me open up that page and show you. So this is the Flutter package. This is the Dart package that contains the lint rules that is recommended for a Flutter app. So then I copied this file. I copy the content and paste in this file here. So this is the rules that is recommended by the Flutter team. So I just include all the rules here. And then there is like a shortcut command that you can just include the whole file. And then if you look into the Flutter lints package, oh, why I cannot press on this file and go into, okay, never mind. I think it's a bit tedious if I try to locate this file, but maybe I can open up from here. So here it is actually importing all the rules from this file, which is here. So you can see that, okay, what are the rules that are enabled for this project? So these are the list of rules. And if you are not sure what are the rules doing, then you can always Google search. Like Google is your best friend. And then Dart has the page for all the rules. So you can see all the detailed explanation in the lint rules page here. You can also browse all the rules from here. So this can be found on this page. And then I will not go into the details of each of the rules here. I will just include everything here. And then I want to show you the options that you can enable. So if let's say you want to exclude certain files or certain folders, then you can uncomment this part. And then here you can exclude, like let's say if I want to exclude my main.dart file, then I can do this. Or if I want to exclude all the generated files in the server folders, then I can use the wildcard. And then if I want to exclude everything from a folder, I can also do this. So it's very flexible. You can define the things that you want. And then just to show you how it will look like in your IDE, here I'm using Visual Studio Code. So you can go to, let's say, one of the file here, my app. Yeah. And then here you can see the underline that shows you, okay, it asks you to use key in widget constructors. So this is actually one of the lint rule that is enabled by Flutter. And then I can see the suggestion. And then if I want to fix this, sometimes it will show you a quick fix. Like in this case, it's not very useful. It just provides you a shortcut line to ignore the rules. but I'm not going to ignore this. I'm going to follow this rule. So I will uncomment this part, and then it will go away, the underline. So this will help to keep your code following the guideline that you have already set for the project. And this is very useful. So let's go back to the analysis options and see what else we can do. So as you can see here, there's a linter sections where you can define, okay, maybe there are certain rules that I don't want to follow, or there are some additional rules that I want to add in. So here is where you can add things or remove things. So and under the rules section, you can add the additional rules here by putting the rule name and then true. Likewise, you can also disable certain rules that you have already included in an external file. So if you uncomment this line, then you can disable the avoid print rule. So it is very flexible. You can define anything for you and your team, and then the analyzer will check, and then it will also check, show the problems that is reported by the linter in your IDE. So here you can go straight, and then you can see what is the problem, and then you can fix it from there. So this is linters. They are very useful, and then hope in your next project you can make use of this, or even put this in your current project. Yeah, so I have already went through this one. And finally, add flavors. This is something that is, I would say, a bit annoying to set up in Flutter. And I will go through this in a bit. And what are these for? So add flavors, you can imagine that, okay, in your production app, you will need to set up different environments. And then each of these environment, you have different configuration. So let's say you have a dev configuration, you will call different endpoints, and then you have a prod configuration. Maybe it will show a different app name or different app icon, different API base path. So how do you manage these different configurations? You can use app flavors to do this. And then how to do it? There are many different ways. So unfortunately, there is like no one standard way to do this. And in this session, I will try to show you the way that I'm using. It might not be the best, but it's the best way that I've found so far. So without further ado, show you the code. And then where should I start? Okay, if you go to the run panel here in my VS Code, you can see that here I have a dev showing up here. And this is because I have defined the launch configuration for my VS Code workspace. So this part is specific to VS Code. So if you are using other IDEs, too bad I did not look into that part. But I will also show you the equivalent command that you can run. And then, I will show you the VS Code part first. So right now, let me minimize the panel. So you can see that there are two types of configuration that I've set up. One is dev, another one is prod. And then each one, it will run a different entry point. I have two entry points defined here. One is main dev.dart, another is main prod.dart. And for normal projects, before you set up the flavors, you usually have only one file, which is the main.dat. And then here, in order to incorporate the app flavors, I have made two main files, one for each configuration. And then you can also define the flavor by passing in one extra argument here, which is -- flavor. So this is equivalent to your command running flutter run -- flavor def. And then from here, you can select the device that you want to run the app on. And yeah, I'm not going to show you the command part, but I'm going to show you the VS Code part. So once you have set it up in your launch configuration, then in your main.dev, then you can configure something that you want to specify for each of your flavor. So here you can define anything. It doesn't have to be a class called config. It doesn't have to be a flavor, an enum called flavor. It can be anything that you want to be passing in specifically for each configuration. So here is just an example. I'm creating a config class, and then here I want to show different hello message depending on different flavors. So, and then if you can see, the final outcome is, okay, I have two configuration. One is the def, one is the prod. And then for each flavor, the difference would be this message and also the app name. So first, I will show you how to set up on Android. And then for Android, it is simpler. You can go to your build.gradle file inside the app folder. Don't go to the wrong Gradle file. I know this is kind of misleading for people who are not from the Android development background. So for the build.gradle for the app, then inside here you can add this section after the build types, or just anywhere inside the Android section. So what I define here is, okay, first I define the flavor dimensions, and then this one, it must be the same as the keyword that you put here. So these values must match. Then inside the product flavors section, you can define, okay, what are the flavors that you want to create. So you have two here. One is prod and one is def. And then for the prod, I want it to have a different app name. So this one will have the app name called IO demo. And then for my def, I want to have a def name called def IO demo. So the expected outcome would be something like this. And other than that, I also want to specify the application ID. So what is my application ID for the project? It is this one, the com.example.io_demo. And then for my prod one, because I didn't specify the application ID suffix for this, so the prod app will have this application ID. Meanwhile, for the dev app, because I have specified the suffix, so this one, it will become com.example.iodemo.dev. So this one will have a different application ID. And then you might ask, okay, I have defined the res value here. Then where is the app name? So there's one more thing that you need to change, which is in your Android manifest.xml. Then you need to go here. Here in the Android label, I think the initial generated one is just IO demo. And then by putting a parameter here, then you can specify different names for your Android label. And then now by putting this, then it will read the app name from that is defined in your build Gradle file and put it in to this part. It will substitute into this part. So this is one of the shortcut that I like a lot. Instead of creating multiple Android manifests and go there and change, you can already define the values here. So this is for Android. And for iOS is actually very tedious. I'm not sure whether I can correctly replicate the steps. So just for an overview, I'm following one of the Medium articles that I show in the slide. I think is this one, the second link. So then I will need to open up the workspace file. You can find the iOS workspace file inside here. You can open up the runner.exe workspace with your Xcode. So if you are not developing for iOS, you can ignore me on this part. And then once you open up the workspace, then the first thing is you can go to the runner. And then here you can find the different schemes. And then I think the initial scheme that there's only one scheme called runner. Here I've already configured the schemes. So before that, if you want to create a new flavor, then you need to click on the new scheme button, and then you create a new scheme. Maybe I call this what should I call this? QA for testing. So once you have created the new scheme, then you need to edit the scheme. And then after that, here you need to select the scheme. But first, you need to duplicate the build configuration. I think how you duplicate it is by okay. I think I have forgotten about the steps, so I will go to the link here. So don't worry if you cannot follow, all the steps are listed here inside. And then basically what I did is I just follow the steps here in the iOS part. And then after that, I duplicate the scheme. So you can see that, okay, it's actually inside the build settings. And then I can duplicate the configuration for debug, release, and profile. And then after that, I can rename it based on the flavor. So here you can rename it with anything, but to make it clearer, then you can just append dash the flavor name to not confuse yourself. And after that, you will need to go to manage your scheme, and then you change your target to make sure that the target is pointing to the correct build configuration. So here, you can change it to the debug dev. Oops, did something happen? Okay. All right. So I will, to save some time, I will not go through the details for that part. Just for one last thing that I want to show is if you want to change the app name, you will need to run an extra step, which is in your build settings. You can go to here, you can add a user-defined setting. Here I have already added the app display name. So this one does not exist before you created it. So I have created one, so I will cancel this. And then for the app display name, then you can define the name for each configuration. So you can see that for my dev, I have the dev IO demo app name, and then this will show accordingly in your app name here. And that's it for the app flavors. Hopefully I did not confuse you more by going through the iOS part, because it is indeed quite tedious to set up. And the thing is, you cannot just run a script to generate the flavors for iOS, because you cannot just like for the Android part, you can go to the build.grader and then copy and paste this thing in. For iOS, you actually have to go to your Xcode, open up the workspace, and then create the schemes from there. So that's the extra thing that you need to do for the iOS part. But other than that, I think I have went through everything for the app flavors. And if you want to look for more tips and tricks, actually I found this recent video that on YouTube. It shows you the top 30 Flutter tips and tricks. I have even learned one or two things from the video, so I highly recommend you to check this out. And yeah, so this is my final slide. Please go ahead and try these features in your current project or in your next project. And if you have any questions regarding Flutter, feel free to ask me now or reach me on LinkedIn. And that's it for my sharing today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm passing the stage back to Edward. I cannot hear you.
Yeah, Edward, I think your mic
Sorry.
is mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Yongshen. I think there's one question for you. Which one is better for mobile first solution, Flutter or Angular?
For mobile first, okay, because when you are building a Flutter app, then you definitely want to use Flutter and not Angular, because Angular is more on, like, let's say you want to build a website, or you are building a very simple one-page app that can make use of the single page application to run. Then you can consider to use Angular, because then user don't have to install a separate mobile app to use your app. So it depends on your use case. You want to create something that can be installed natively on Android and iOS, then you can consider to use Flutter. Else, if you want to just build a website or a web app, then you can use Angular.
Okay, so another from Chu Jun Tan. May I know any challenges in Flutter development with Android, iOS, specifically from old macOS to the Big Sur upgrade? Can you share with us, Mac user, your experience?
Yeah, on this part, I was a bit worried that after upgrading to the latest macOS, some things might break. But luckily, not for Flutter. So far, I have upgraded for a few months, and everything is still running as expected. So yeah, I don't think there's any issue that I faced when developing on the latest Mac.
Let's see.
Oh yeah, that's my brother. Thank you.
So, any more questions? If none, then let us move on to the third speaker. Hi, let me introduce our third speakers. His name is Woon Yong Choi, or we can call him Toru. Currently, he is working at OCBC Bank. He has over 10 years of experience in Android. You can say that he's the OG developer of Android. He is about to share the new features of Jetpacks in 2021. You may start.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, let me share my slide first. Hello, good morning. I'm Won Young Choi. Yes, yeah, but please feel free to call me Toru. Yeah, I currently working as Android developer for OCBC Bank in Singapore. Today, I'm gonna talk about the new features in Jetpack, which Google has released in this Google I/O. Okay, since Google has announced Jetpack, it has helped developers build apps with less boilerplate code and more backward compatibility. Okay, from this chart, as long as we can see this chart, there's an incredible changes on adoption rate of Jetpack. Of top 1,000 apps using two or more non-core Jetpack libraries. It is quite incredible from 47% to 97% in this year. Okay, before the talk, I would like to cover the versioning, alpha and beta. It means pre-release cycles and what they mean for developers. And before stable, there are several steps, like alpha or beta. Alpha means the features are under active development. So that means API may be added or replaced or removed in the future. But if you are very challenging and not hesitating to apply any new features on your side project or your production app, you can feel free to use. Because as it's tested and have a highly functional. And up to the beta stage, it means feature stabilizations, but that it doesn't mean.
I'm sorry, Toru. Can you show the full slide, because your slide is different one. I can show your click full slide. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. You
full slide.
Yeah.
This one?
Show is full screen. Full screen. Got the button is called full screen.
Oh, sorry. Can you see?
Because now we can see your current slide and next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me share.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Sorry for that accident.
Yeah.
Okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Or you have another slide like other than Keynote?
Okay. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, for the technical issues. Yeah. Sorry for the technical issues. Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes.
Can you see correctly?
Let me add to stream. Oh yeah, this one is better. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, let me go ahead. Okay, I just mentioned alpha and beta, and so in beta beta means beta doesn't mean there's no API changes. Of course, APIs can be changed in the future, but only in responses to critical issues and or community feedback. So if you feel very bad on using some beta API, please feel free to raise the issues using the link in the Jetpack homepage in Google. Okay. Next step is next experimental annotations. Yeah, here, as I mentioned before, yeah, there may be some experimental features in alpha or beta. So in order to use these APIs, yeah, we should, yeah, this. If let's say there is a set auto close timeout method that is which is newly added, and both is not at stable stage or beta stage, yeah, we should mark this API with this annotation like opt-in. Otherwise, it will return unsafe opt-in usage error. Yeah, so this is correct usage. So by doing that, yeah, developers can understand that the API is alpha quality and it may be changed in the future. Okay, for next, I look through the new APIs in stable stage. The first, camera X. Camera X just like camera APIs added in Jetpack. In long time ago, we may have used the camera 1 or camera 2, but there are using the camera 1 and camera 2 is quite troublesome. So in order to relieve this problem, Google newly added the camera X feature in Jetpack Compose. So finally, camera X was released in 2019 in alpha. But last year, yeah, it has been raised. It was raised to beta stage. Finally, camera X is at stable stage. So there are some latest improvements like adjusting exposure compensation and access to the information, which is a little bit credential like camera status and features, and also provides some interoperability via camera 2 interop class. And also brings support for the latest devices and OS features, including HDR, high dynamic range preview, and zoom ratio controls, and do not disturb mode. But these features are only supported for Pixel 4a and 5 only, but soon on more devices. So besides the new features, so far, Camera X has also continued to improve the performance, such as faster image capture and faster initializations. And because not only for the latest or new tier of devices, but also the on legacy devices, it can be used. According to the Google, up to 25% of legacy devices which we can see the performance enhancement. Sorry, the typo here. So let's quickly glance the code snippets, set up and attach the camera controller to preview view in this way, and we can just use this camera controller to take a picture. Okay, as a next, I would like to introduce Hilt. It is simplified dependency injection solution based on built on the Dagger 2. Finally, since Google has released the Hilt alpha version last year, so finally it reaches a stable stage with some changes. Here, Speed Model support has moved up into the core Hilt Android APIs and safe state handle. So you can see the code snippet after a while, which shows the view model supports and state handle, and also integrated with navigation and compose, Jetpack compose. Okay, from here you can see the code snippet above. So for the use case of Hilt view model with state handle and other parameters in constructor. Next, you can see that you can, as I mentioned, the view model scope is also scoped with the navigation. So we can initialize this view model like this way. Hilt also made improvements to work manager integration using assisted inject. With this, developers no longer need to create their own worker factory and pass in dependencies manually. They can now obtain the dependencies from Hilt dependency injection graph and remove quite a bit boilerplate code. The purpose to use the Hilt is to reduce the use of boilerplate code. That's why that's why we have seen some changes in this talk. Additionally, there are some ways to test. This is the existing way to test the Hilt in the we can replace the modules easily in this way, like injecting the components, the items inside the annotation here. Okay. Next is Room, the recommended data persistent array layer, providing increased usability. Now Room is also at stable version 2.0. Experimental support is there with the Kotlin symbol processing. This is like a new close to a new compiler way, and also built-in support for enums and RxJava 3, and introduction to query callback. And also there's a new annotation at provider type converter. Here, query converter is which provides a callback when SQLite statements are executed to simplify the tasks like logging as well as the log, some other convenient things. So here, provide type converter annotation allows us to use more flexibly when creating type converters. And later, I also introduce an alpha version. And what is added to alpha version? Here, this is the code snippet for provided type converter. So, type converter can be used to save and load some object type in terms of serialization. So we can declare the provided type converter with the class, also used in this way. Okay, as I mentioned, I would like to introduce a new feature in Room. With using database, we are supposed to migrate the database to new one. With the increase or the changes on the database itself. So in previous way or existing way, we had to add and write the migration code in the Room database class. But here it also started supporting auto migration here in the annotation side. Okay, next is paging library, which is added in. Paging library has been there for a long time, but now the current version is paging 3. we are with the version up to 3. Kotlin paging library is supported by Kotlin fully 100%, and also Kotlin coroutines and flow internally, and also asynchronous loading with RxJava and Guava primitives. Improvements in the some layers like repository and presentation layers, and also supports for headers, footers, separators, and loading states in UI side. As I mentioned, there were some changes internally. So also I mentioned the supports RxJava, and so even here we can use Rx paging source here. And in order to send the data to UI side, it used Flow API internally. And for the Guava support, the paging library also provides this paging source, this novel future paging source. This is one of concurrency API embedded in Guava. Next, this is security critical. This is also one of persistency library, but different from Broom. This is also same function with shared preference, but it is encrypted. Here, we can use encrypted shared preference and create, and also put and save by using apply method. Here there are two schemes to be added to key and value, and for the key encryption scheme, Google provides SIV and GCM AES256. There may be a question about room and data store integration. Then that was raised during the Google I/O Fire chat. So I just quoted this from the YouTube video. So the answer was the encrypted desktop data store we provided. Room can already be used with secret cipher, not decided yet. It will be included in the box. Data store will be introduced here later on. Okay, next is Work Manager. Work Manager is it enables us to schedule the background tasks, right? Also, it works in asynchronous way. Now, in the latest versions of Work Manager features are like improved support for multi-process apps, including performance benefits from unifying work request scheduling to a single process, and limiting database growth when scheduling many requests. And here in version 2.7, it handles Android S foreground restrictions. And also something is newly introduced, named Work Manager Inspector. This is also embedded tool in Android Studio that is available in Android Studio Arctic Fox. So as long as we can see here, we can see what workers are running inside this app. What is successfully ended, what is blocked, what is running. Okay, constraint. Okay, let me go to the constraint layout and motion layout. This is flexible and intuitive system for positioning and animating user interface by using the relationships between the widgets inside the XML file. It already reached to version 2.0.0 stable, and there are also motion layout to provide rich animation and state management. If you really want to use the beautiful animation, you can feel free to use motion layout. It's also stable. I would like to introduce the new design tools. So if you want to know more, you can reference these talks introduced in Google I/O. What's new in design tools? And this is motion layout window. So from here, we can view. We can see how the animation goes well or goes bad. Okay, next is also fragment. There are also changes in fragment classes, clean up internal implementations, and also reduce undocumented behavior and increase stability. The purpose is to make use this easier for developers to follow, and also to follow best practices in their app and write reliable tests. Don't forget to read this release note for the fragment 1.3.0. Activity result is also integrated. Here, there's a new feature, fragment on attached listener, that is to observe the fragment is attached or not. This has been substituted by it is substituting the unattached fragment, which has been deprecated in API level 28. Okay, we have covered all the stable versions of new APIs. Now let's move up to the beta. There's one thing, only data store. Data store is also one of replacement for the shared preference. It also supported by Kotlin coroutine, Flow inside, and also RxJava as well. And this also provides same features like shared preference, key value pairs, but not only key value pairs, but also protocol buffers, strongly typed. Even using Kotlin serialization, we can write our own plugin. There is a comparison chart between shared preference and data store. So it's quite clear. Once that is released, we will be strongly encouraged to use and migrate to data store from the shared preference. In order to support that movement, Google also provides some migration codes. This is a simple code snippet for creating and read and write to a preference data store. And here there is also migration code to the data store from shared preferences. Okay, we have covered all the stable and beta features, and now let's move up to alpha. There's a new feature called App Search, high performance full text search for app local and device-wide use cases. This is really new feature, and if you deep dive into the App Search, you will be satisfied with the function. This is a new on-device search library which provides high performance and feature-rich full text search functionality. This is the way. This is the way App Search works. App Search 1 is released with local storage support, which allows your application to manage structured data, code documents, and then query over it. Your application defines what the structure looks like using schema type. For example, you can model a message as a schema type with data as such as subject, body, or center. Is it quite difficult to understand? Okay. One use case will be like searching on music in your searching music or songs, and you want to search the songs on your device. Then you can use the app search function. It may help you search the songs in your device. Next is navigation. Navigation is has been already stabilized now, and now in 2.4.0, multiple backstack is added, and also internally navigation uses some APIs which has been added to fragment 1.4.0, save backstack or restore backstack. So this is the code snippet for the navigation in navigate.xml file. And here, you can access this function by code. Okay, next is Google Shortcuts. If you really want to integrate your features with Google Assistant or other Google services, then the Google Shortcut library can be a way to help you. This shortcut library provides a way to expose actions to Google Assistant or the other Google services through the existing shortcut info classes. Here we define the shortcut with the intent and capability binding. This binding provides semantically meaningful information that will help Google services figure out the best way to surface it to users. So these are the two keywords for the shortcut. And next is emoji compat. Emoji compat library can help us use these emojis on the device. With the API over 19. There have been emoji dependencies, but they added some new features to emoji, and also Google changed the name to emoji 1 to emoji 2. So, but in order to use this emoji compat, don't forget to include the app compat 1.4.0 and later by default. Okay. Next is macro benchmark. Macro benchmark. The Jetpack. This is basically performance profiling tool and also visualization tool in Android Studio. So it handles warm up and measures your code performance and outputs benchmarking result to both the Android Studio console and JSON file with a more detail. This macro benchmarks also provides trace files which you can load and analyze in Android Studio. And also, it also gives us the functions for the regression in CI/CD before they hit user. This is the code snippet for the macro benchmark, and we can see this result in our Android Studio console. Metrics are displayed directly in Android Studio. Okay, beyond the talks about stable, the beta, and alpha versions of the features, there are some additional talks about Jetpack, like Jetpack integrations or whatever, or other things behind this. Jetpack, as long as you know, as Jetpack Compose is a new UI build toolkit without XML. So at Google I/O, Google has announced that the Jetpack Compose will be at stable level at July. But I'm not so sure whether Jetpack Compose has been added to the stable stage or not. Let me look through quickly later. And also, with the race of use of Compose, there are some Jetpack libraries which can be integrated with the Jetpack libraries like HUD, paging, navigation, activity, view mode, or constraint layout. So here, there are more detailed information which is revealed in Google I/O. So if you're really keen on finding out new information, I recommend you look through the two videos, Jetpack Compose and Jetpack Libraries and Compose. Form factors. Someone may think Android is only for the smartphone, but there are a lot of form factors like foldables, tablets, and larger screens. Even there's a Wear OS. So there are what's new in other form factors here. We can check this in these classes and packages. I've covered almost all of these features, but there are a lot. There are more things to look through. What has been done in the Jetpack library side. So here, if you want to run more and see more features from the information. You can find the full details for every Jetpack library in the release note or Maven repositories or API documents in Google developers.google.com. This is the end of the talk. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a message in the YouTube chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Toru.
Thank you.
So, all speaker slides will be shared. Will share in your social media as well.
Oh yes, of course. After this talk, I think because I just found some mistyping. So after amending these things, I will edit. I will upload to my repository and share in social media.
Okay. So. The next question. Next time, maybe we can talk more details in emoji compatibility.
Can talk more details in emoji compatibility. Of course, let me do it. It will be, I'm happy to do it.
Guys, any more questions? Feel free to drop at the comments. Toru will answer later on.
Yes, I'll be here until the talk is ended. So feel free to comment in YouTube chat.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Without further ado, let me welcome our last speaker. Hi, Shang-Yi. You have to unmute.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Guys, this is Shang-Yi. He's our Google developer expert in Firebase and also a mobile developer in Hubble. So without wasting everyone's time, let us get Shang-Yi started.
Okay, thank you, Edward. So I know it's lunchtime, so let's go through this quickly. Hopefully we can get it done for you to get food. Okay, so I'm Shang-Yi. I'm a software engineer in Hubble. So today I'll be talking to you about how you can increase your mobile development productivity with Firebase app distribution. So before we go into that, these are some of the few things that you want to cover, some background information of what I do, what my company does, and what sort of problems we face, and how we try to get solutions to solve these problems, and in summary, the whole thing, how everything works together. So firstly, the background. So what is Hubble? Hubble is not the Hubble telescope thing, but Hubble is actually a company in Singapore that we are branched out to other countries as well, where we want to be able to provide you with the ability for you to do a lot of automation in construction industry. So we provide an enterprise construction management software which allows you to unify all your key stakeholders. In this case, you have developers, developers here as in construction developers, not software developers, consultants, fabricators, contractors, and all of them is digitized on the Hubble platform. So a lot of the construction industry right now is very paper-based. So Hubble here is to try to solve this problem by moving everything to a more streamlined approach digitally. So my work at Hubble is mainly to do with the mobile app. So these are some of the features that our mobile app does. It's actually provided for, we call this the Hubble platform, which is a cloud-based platform that provides web and mobile applications to digitize the field operation process. So the platform places command and control of work processes on your company and provides 5 different systems that allows you to use this to meet your needs. So if you're a construction company and you want to move things digitally and get work done faster, you can try out our Hubble platform. So enough with the advertisement, but this is basically the app that we are building for Hubble. Me and my team are building for Hubble, and let's go through some of the problems that we face getting this app to production in a more productive manner. So again, my background for the team, we have around 4 members working remotely. Each team member can work on different subsystems. As you can see in the previous slide, there are different modules that each developer may work on. And we have, depending on the time, we might have 1 to 2 QA test engineers, and we have 1 product owner. So let's talk about the tech behind the app. So our repository, we use GitLab. This will come later on in the talk. We are not running on anything Google. We are running on React Native. So this talk is platform independent, but just as a background, our app runs on React Native. And as usual, our app just communicates with the APIs built on the Hubble platform. And we, of course, also have multiple product flavors. So testers will be able to test on different environments, and each environment points to a different set of APIs naturally. So let's talk about the existing workflow that Hubble has been using for quite some time. So as usual, when we receive our tickets to work on the features, we work on them. Of course, we do testing as usual. And then, of course, we open a merge request or pull request to the branch that in this case, our main branch. And then once the PR is approved, we merge it to main, and then we work on other features as well. But at the meantime, sometimes QA will request a build, maybe because they are free from the current work they have done. So now they want to test a particular feature. So at the moment, what they do is they ask for a build. So they message us on Slack and say, hey, can we get a build for this feature, for that feature? And so now the dev, because we don't want to block the QAs, right? So what we do is that we have to build the app and send it back to QA. And then we just continue on our way working with other defects. And halfway through, we have our PM who requests for a new build. Hey, for example, the PM wants to see some other features that we are still building. So in this case, we have to build another app. In this case, we might build a developed version of the app so that the PM can take a look around. And then we have to build and then send it back to the PM and stuff like that. So as you can see in this process, there's a lot of interruption to the development process, right? So as developers, of course, you don't want to block the team as well. We want to try to satisfy everyone. So we will say yes, but internally, this is how we will look like, right? So how can we actually solve these issues? So let's take a look in detail what problems this workflow causes. So the first major problem is that every time we are requested to make a build, we actually build it on our local machine. So of course, is occupying your computer resources. When things build, your computer most likely will fan speed will probably match the sound of a jet engine, right? So in this case, it will take a lot of time for your computer build. And then in this case, if for example the engineer is working on some feature and suddenly the PM comes or the QA wants to build you to create a new build, now you need to stash the changes away or put it somewhere else, check out the main branch and build a copy as well. So all of these manual steps can cause you to intentionally add changes inside your build, right? So while you're working on some features, you might accidentally commit some code, or the code that you committed is not supposed to be deployed, but you deploy it out. So of course, these are some of the things that you want to avoid during the entire process, right? Of course, when we also build, we also have signing keys that we don't want to leak out to individual developers to keep building on, right? So imagine if they are compromised, then we will need to recycle our signing keys again. So these are some of the few challenges at this stage. So as developers, we don't like to be bothered, right? So imagine working on a feature halfway, and then someone asks for a new build, and then now you need to put all your thinking away so that you can just build an ad hoc copy for whoever needs it, right? So of course, besides that, we also want to keep track of the correct version numbers, and then in this case, you might increase your version number or version code, and sometimes you might forget to increase them, or you might accidentally check them in and stuff like that. So a lot of this manual stuff that's in the way of you continuing to just building features. So another problem we have faced is that after we have finished building the app, we have our APKs, we have our IPAs, right? So how can we provide these apps to the testers to test, right? So we used to work on, Slack. So we used to send those apps on Slack, and anyone can ask for a build from us, right? And it's really hard for developers to just upload them and include what features that this app has, right? And for testers and other people, if they want to search for the app, now they have to go through Slack and search all of them. So this can be very cumbersome to all parties involved. So besides that, even after the app is built, the QA sometimes can ask, hey, what does this app actually contain, right? Because when sometimes we just send out the app on its own, we don't really include what was in the app itself. And testers will have a hard time determining what was actually inside, what features are actually tested inside the app which they can use. So they will come back and forth between you and the QA or the PM, and you have to verify whether these features are in, or is it a bug, why is it not showing? And this might cause developers to rebuild another copy, because maybe they were working on a separate branch, and when someone asks for a build, so they just build and they maybe forgot to check out the main branch and stuff like that. So all of this leads to uncertainty and leads to more rebuilds of the same app. So again, developer productivity will drop, since now you're spending more time figuring out which build that you have done belongs to which features belong to which build. So besides that, with this manual process, you can face with sudden death. That means, like, imagine suddenly the QA asks you to create a clean copy from the master, and you try to do it, but in turn the build fails, right? So now you're faced with a problem that why did the build fail? Who broke the build? So this can be a problem within the workflow, and especially when you try to onboard new devs on a new computer, right? Then sometimes it doesn't build on their computer, but it builds on your computer, right? So that can be an issue as well. So the next thing is that in our company, we have different environments. So we have dev, we have QA environment, we have staging environment, etc. And sometimes the product team wants to be able to demonstrate different features that are present in different environments, right? So in this case, we need the ability to create multiple apps of the same app multiple times, but for different environments. So let's take a look at some of the solutions that we have employed to actually get around all these problems that is disrupting developer productivity. So in order for us to handle app environments, they have to live in a different application ID, right? But we want them to be essentially the same app. So how we do this is we use product flavors and for iOS, we use iOS schemes and build configuration. So early on, Yongshan has also shared about how you can do product flavors on Android, which is what we are doing as well. So in this case, we are appending the bundle ID itself. And of course, this is our own build process where we build according to what environment we need. So every time you add a new product flavor, it generates a new Gradle script automatically. So you can use that to build your Android app. So for iOS, you use schemes itself. So yeah, earlier on the session from Yongshan has shared a great link on how to get started with that. So basically, we're also building the same thing as well. So with that out of the way, now we'll take a look at build automation, right? We want to automate a lot of the processes that developers need to do in order to get the product shipped to our testers. So one of the few popular choices is to use Fastlane. So Fastlane is a way, I would say it's a framework that allows you to build and ship and automate tasks for mobile apps. So for example, you have finished building an app and you want to release it to production. We need to increase the version number and the version code, right? So before that, what we need to do is to manually increase the values on your app manifest, on your plist, on your iOS as well, right? And then you have to keep track of all these numbers yourself. So these are prone to mistakes. Sometimes we may forget to actually increment the version code. We increase the version name. So imagine version 1.1.1, but you forgot to increase the version code, which is essentially the build number. So Fastlane can actually help you with that. So once you have Fastlane added, it can be easily installed to your project itself, and you can add a script to run it. And once you, let's say, decide to run a release, you just have to Fastlane bump, for example, major version, or you want to release a hot fix, so you increase the patch version. So all of this is immediately done for you by Fastlane itself. So now you don't need to handle it yourself, manually increasing files from different apps itself. So without that out of the way, now we should solve problems where the PM wants to see pre-release features or pre-tested features, or QA wants to test features that is already in the master branch or the main branch. In this case, what we can do is to create a nightly build. So this is running on GitLab. So what we do is that we create a scheduled build that runs every night. So we run it at 8 p.m. where the activity on the GitLab runners are slightly inactive. So we can actually build daily copies. So imagine the developer has finished building a feature, the merge request is accepted and merged back to main branch. Every night, it will automatically include that feature in the build. So now the testers, all they need to do is just search for the builds, and then they can just download without bothering the developers itself. So for us, we actually use the GitLab Pipewrite runner with one of the Docker images, which is Docker Android, so that we don't have to install all the necessary stuff on a clean runner, on clean image. So for iOS, we use Bitrise instead to help delegate it as well. So by building things outside from your local machine to the cloud, you are actually moving, you are able to identify any issues that might be caused by configurations in your computer. So for example, if your build actually builds on your computer but doesn't build on the cloud, that means something is wrong somewhere or something is not configured correctly. So this is a way to keep things fresh so that if we need to install it on a separate machine, or let's say a new developer comes in and you need to set up the environment, it shouldn't cause any build issues. So imagine doing nightly builds halfway, and then the next day you receive an email to say that, oh, hey, the nightly build has failed. So you know that the previous day check-ins has caused the nightly build to fail, and now developers can easily figure out, can take a proactive approach to fix the build before someone says that the build has failed, or when you need to build to production, only you realize it has failed. So these are some ways that you can take to make sure your build stays alive. So in our case, we do a lint and we do a build and deploy, which basically builds the app and deploy it. So when I mentioned deploy, we have noticed that we have actually talked about how we can automate this entire build process of your app. But the key thing here is that how can we move our build apps to our testers. How can the testers receive those tests without bothering, receive those ads without bothering the developers, right? So here's a key piece of information that is missing in our build process that we want to do. So here, how we can do that is to automate deployment of apps. As you know, Android, of course, if you enable third-party APKs on your phone, you can easily just give them APKs and you can just install it on their phones. But for iOS, normally you only have two areas that you can see the app, that you can install it easily. One is through, of course, the App Store where you download, or you can always do it on TestFlight. So the thing is about TestFlight is I want to be able to release multiple versions of the same app, right? I want to do some testing before I release it to production. So TestFlight alone is not enough to help fulfill what we need. We want to be able to run some apps on the test environment, some apps on the dev environment, and TestFlight just doesn't allow that. So let's take a look at what we decided to take a key app, which is Firebase app distribution. So Firebase app distribution, firstly, is free. There's no quota on the app distribution. Allows you to distribute your apps, pre-production versions of your app to iOS and Android easily. So if you're building for Android, you can upload APKs or AAVs and IPAs for Android. So the apps are easy to install. All you need to do is to go to the Firebase app distribution app, and then you can just download it directly. And then you have the app on your phone itself. You don't need to purposely go on Slack, look for the build, and then download and stuff like that. And of course, it also allows us to do a lot of manage our testers and user and test groups. So let's say the test app, we want to only distribute to our test users versus the develop app, we want to able to distribute to everyone in the company who is able to download it and stuff like that. So besides that, Firebase app distribution allows you to do easy integration with your build pipelines, which you will take a look at right now. So here's an overview of how we use Firebase app distribution in the company. All you need to do is just go to your Firebase console, create a new project if you don't have to, add apps to the Firebase distribution, and all you need to do is to drag and drop your files. So if you don't want to do if you don't have an automated solution to build your apps, and you still take it on a more manual approach, you can still directly upload them on app distribution. So here you can upload different versions of this app, and of course you can take a look at how many people were invited to test your app, how many people has accepted your app. So now you were able to know that let's say the QA says that he did not see the app or she did not see the app, but so you can actually expand the releases and see who actually downloaded the app or whether they actually received the invite or not. You can configure your testers here. As mentioned earlier on, you can create multiple groups of testers for different users. If a select group of really special users that you want to test, you can of course create them as a group and export them accordingly. So here's an example of the test app that you can download. So once you actually invite your team member to install the app, it actually provides you an instruction of how to download this Firebase app distribution on your phone in order for you to download the app itself. Here we also included the release notes. In Firebase app distribution, you can actually include release notes of what has been included in the build. Of course, you will need to configure how you want these release notes to be inside the app, but there is an option on Firebase app distribution to allow you to fill in these release notes. So now QAs, all they need to do, instead of asking you, they can just check the app's release notes and figure out which build tickets are completed, which fixed tickets are done, which features are done. You can just download and test them accordingly. So let's go back and take a look at our previous workflow before all the automation that we have done today. So now we have got rid of all the problems here where the dev now needs to build the app, or when the PM needs to request a build and then we need to build another copy. But instead now developers directly just trigger the build and deploy pipeline and we are done. Or if you're running it manual, automated every night, you don't even need that step. So now developers on Hubble is able to focus more on building features rather than taking interrupted time to actually build the apps, furnishing the release notes, figuring out who to distribute these apps to. So let's take a look at the pipeline portion of how we distribute the apps. So depending on the environment, let's say the QA wants to test the app, then we of course set an environment variable on our end, which is the QA flag, and we of course include a commit ID before. So the commit ID here will tell us which are the builds, which are the features that has been committed into master that we can show as the release notes. So once the pipeline is triggered, all the Android and iOS build automation kickstarts, and then we actually just add automation to Firebase app distribution to immediately deploy once the build has completed. So there is no manual steps in between this flow. So let's take a look at how Firebase app distribution allows you to do distribution. Of course, you saw earlier on that you can distribute manually by throwing it into the console. Uploading to the console. The other way, if you want to do your own build pipelines, of course you can use the CLI. And lastly, also supports Fastlane. So since Fastlane is a very popular way for mobile developers to automate tasks, it also supports that as well. So let's go through each of these ways where you can add new apps. Of course, you can just drag and drop your file through the Firebase console. If your build pipeline utilizes the Firebase CLI, you can install the Firebase CLI and distribute the apps as such. All you need to do is include the path of where your IPA or your APK is located, include the app ID, which you can create on the Firebase console, and your release notes here, which is basically just a string. So in our case, we automate the release notes to take the commit IDs from the last previous build and include them in automatically. So the developers don't need to actually manually add the release notes themselves. So if you're going to distribute by Fastlane, you will need to create a lane in Fastlane. So we add the Fastlane, we add a new lane and just add the Firebase app distribution plugin or add-on, and basically you can hard code the app IDs if you need to. So in our case, we actually hard code a lot of different app IDs. So different environments or different flavors have a different app ID that is targeted towards. This includes the group. So dev, for dev distributions, it runs on all users. For QA, it's the QA team, so that users don't get spammed with all the emails saying that the app is ready for testing. And yeah. So here's how we do it on Hubble. We use Fastlane and we distribute it according to the app env that we have configured on our GitHub pipeline. And once the build is completed, we just take the file and then we just release it accordingly. So if you're running on Fastlane, if you want to run it on your computer, you can do it as well. Just run the Fastlane command line, and then you should be able to get all your apps that automatically uploaded to Firebase for you. So in this step, there is no manual intervention needed by the developer. So Firebase app distribution has recently added support for app bundles. So what does app bundles here mean? There are different formats for apps. The usual more common way of distributing apps is through your APK, right? So however, APKs here can be very large in sizes because it needs to support different phone architectures. So what the APK has is that includes each architecture's files necessary for it to run on your device. So there are instances where your app itself can become large in size. So let's say it might take 30 MB compared to the actual portion that you will need. For example, if you're running on ARM64, it's only actually 10 meg. But now the testers need to download a 30 meg file in order just to install a smaller file, right? So this is where Firebase app distribution supports app bundles. So if you want to be able to do testing for bundle features like play feature delivery, or you want to test dynamic distributions on your Android file, this is where you can, and you don't want to do it on the App Store or the Google Play Store, you can actually do it on Firebase app distribution as well. So on your right-hand side, besides that, you can also include integration with Crashlytics. So let's say, for example, once your test app has been released, right, and then there's a crash happening on the QA side, for example, you're able to directly associate which app that has crashed on Crashlytics itself. So it really does help you faster determine which apps that crash. And for example, the QA says that, hey, suddenly the app crashed. You can always just go to the Crashability dashboard and take a look at which exact version of the app that you have released has crashed, rather than going through back and forth with the QA to determine which version of the app that causes the crash. So in summary, Firebase app distribution and automating your build pipelines are two different things, but when come together, they does supercharge your development productivity. Build pipelines help you solve manual work issues, time taken away from developers. Instead of building features, now they have to handle building process. And Firebase app distribution actually helps the QAs, the developers, manage the app itself. So all users on the app distribution is able to search for the exact versions they need rather than bothering the developers. So with these two approaches, it does help increase our Hubble's product delivery time from development to release. So I guess let's thank you. If you want to learn more about Firebase app distribution, you can always take a look at this documentation. If you want to learn more about Hubble, take a look at that. The link is included as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Shang-Yi. Guys, any question to Shang-Yi? If you guys have any question later on, you can contact Shang-Yi on his social media as well. So thank you, Shang-Yi.
Thank you.
All right, hey guys, thanks again for joining us. We hope everyone learned a thing or two from all our speakers today. Anyway, seems like we have a surprise guest joining us today, Jesslyn, who is from Google. Let us bring her up, and maybe she can tell us more about herself.
Hey, why do I need to tell about myself? I'm Jesslyn. I work for Google. Yeah, a long time never visit Penang. And hi, Takeho. If you someone who know Hokkien, okay,
Yeah,
I miss
long time no see, Jesslyn.
Hey, long time no see, Henry.
Yeah, long time no see.
Yes. Hi, Toru. Hi, Yum
Hi,
Xian.
Jasmine. Long time no see.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. So I work for Google. I'm the developer advocate for ComDev tools. So I just finished a session in GDG KL. So if you would like to watch, and also we also recorded that, you also can go to the GDG KL website and watch it.
Yeah, okay. Okay, thanks, Jocelyn. Okay, Rachel.
Right. Right. Anyways, thanks for joining us for today's session. And let me just show you guys. If it's possible, just take a little bit of your time to fill out this form. Help us improve. Let us know what are the talks we'd like to listen to and the topics and things like that. Yes, just leave it here. And if you have any other questions, you can always throw it into our comment section, or you can directly contact us as well, and we'll get back to you with the answers. All right. So, do you guys have any last-minute questions that just popped in your head that you would like to ask our speakers? Anybody? YouTube, Facebook? If no, then I will pass it over to Louise, because she has something to share with you guys.
Oh yeah. Can you help me press the next slide?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Thanks, all the speakers, and we all know that during this pandemic, we know that some of it were maybe feelings like fears, sadness, because we lost the freedom, right? And then also some of it were worried and then frustrated. Yeah. So because Malaysia, the cases keep increasing, so we hope that GDG George Town can give you some positive positive energy. And then you guys can scan this Jumbo QR code. So write out your current mood, however you are in the EMCO, FMCO, or MCO. So yeah, can write out your stress maybe. So we during GDG George Town willing to listen you. So all right. So let me share. It looks like this. Okay. Okay. Let me share the tab. Okay. So, all right. You can see that I saw some of it, right? Thanks, GDG George Town, and then the right vaccines. Hopefully next year we will be living a normal life. Yeah, some is still have a job. So, okay.
Okay, so thank you very much once again. Right, if there is anything you guys want to know, about our events or our upcoming events, just follow us on our Facebook page, Twitter page, community event page, even LinkedIn. Just give us a follow and we'll post up updates for you if we have any new events and news and whatnot. So is there anything else you guys would like to share with the audience? Jesseline, you want to sing song not?
Huh?
Yes. Good idea. Good idea.
I really look forward to it.
Bring your guitar.
Oh yeah, I have I know that during the COVID time, especially now, there are people who would like to reach out to people to talk about their problem. Maybe you need some advice for your career, or maybe you want someone to listen to your software project problems, or you have some personal issue that you don't have someone to talk to. You can reach out to me. So I have some sessions. I open up some sessions that you can book my time and talk to me. Someone help me to share. So it's Jack.FYI.
Yeah.
So you
jec.fyi/chat.
okay.
I remember the URL.
My manager there. Okay. Yeah, so you can reach out to me. Now I think the July and August slot already full. I think there's still about 3 slots in September. So if you need, you book that. Or if you really need to have a chat immediately, then you PM me, then we'll see how we can arrange that.
All right, if that is all, then thank you guys again for joining us on this Saturday morning and taking up your lunchtime as well. I'm very sorry. But right, so thank you guys. Thanks to the speakers for taking their time with us as well. And as well as Louis and Edward for making this event possible. Thank you very much. Right. Bye guys.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for
Stay safe,
tuning
stay
in. Bye.
Okay,
Follow
thank
me on
you.
Twitter. I know followers already.
This is very low key. Can you make it high key?